Hey, what's up, everyone? Nurse Jar here. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Y'all know what I'm going to tell y'all. If you have not yet subscribed, go ahead and kick that subscribe button. Hit the like button on this video and any other videos that you find helpful. And if you like to be notified whenever I upload new content or go live, go ahead and ring that notification bell. So guys, I have some exciting news. I'm going to be starting a new video series, a new training video series dedicated to understanding the why, W-H-Y, the why behind why you perform certain steps in the skill, or not exactly why you perform them, but you know, how you perform them, the why behind how you perform certain actions in certain skills. Okay, so I'm not going to be doing like every single little step, right? Because most of the steps in these skills are common sense. But I'm not trying to be mean, right? But I think that we all know that common sense just ain't that common nowadays, right? But I think that these videos will be helpful to you if you are a student, candidate, and even as an instructor, right? Because you can use this upcoming video series as an additional resource for your students. As instructors, you can, do it as a homework assignment or a class assignment, right? But they will be beneficial to all of you, okay? And so this first video, I'm going to tackle hand hygiene. I wanted to start out with hand hygiene, one, because it is probably the most simplistic testable skill that people tend to fail, okay? And also because a lot of the comments that I receive on my YouTube channel have to deal with hand hygiene. So we're going to start out with this skill first. Now, in hand hygiene, I think there's like 10 or 11 steps in hand hygiene, okay? The first step in hand hygiene is to turn on the taps, right? So if you have one tap, you're going to turn it on to the center setting, okay? If you have two taps, you just turn on both taps, okay? You don't have to turn them all the way to the center, because if you do, it's going to be a lot of water splattering, right? So one tap or one handle, just turn it to the center setting. Two handles, turn both handles on, not necessarily to the center setting, okay? And so why do you turn on the water first? Well, two reasons, okay? The why behind why that is the very first step in hand hygiene, literally, in doing the action, is one, you got to have the water running, right, before you start washing your hands. And two, that is what the authorized administrator requires, whether you are under Prometric, Pearson VUE, Credentia, Headmaster, the American Red Cross, right? It's a required step. That is the first required step in hand hygiene, okay? Now, with Pearson VUE and Credentia, right, the very first step in hand hygiene is actually greeting and introducing yourself to the resident, but I'm just talking specifically about the actions to performing the step, okay? So you turn the water on, okay? Now question, if that sink has one handle, where or how will you turn that one handle? Go ahead. Answer. If you said center setting or in the center, you are correct. Now, what if that sink has two handles? How will you turn the taps on? Yep, you got it. Turn on both handles. Now, do you have to turn both handles to the center? No, you don't. And why do you not want to turn both handles to the center setting? Gotcha. That's it. Because you're going to have a lot of water running, and when you stick your hands up under it, start rinsing, you're going to have water splattering everywhere. Okay. So one handle, center setting, two handles, just turn on both taps. Okay. All right. Now the second step is for you to wet your hands from the wrist down to your fingertips. Okay. From wrist and wrist, I'm going to take my watch off here, right? Because a lot of people just go here, okay? But your wrist bone, you can see here, your wrist bone is here, okay? So you're off a little bit from the wrist, okay? And the NAE will actually be watching, okay? He or she will be very observant. So if you have any questions, just feel your wrist bone, okay? And that's where you want to wet and wash and rinse from, okay? From your wrist bone down your hand to your fingertips, okay? And you always want to make sure that your fingertips are facing down. Your hand is below the level of your elbow, okay? So why is the next step in hand hygiene turning on, or not turning on the water, but rinsing or wetting your hands? Why is that? Okay, so several reasons, right? One, that's how your authorized administrator is requiring you to perform this skill, okay? They want you to wet your hands first, okay? And that way it can actually give your hands some slick when you actually get the soap and start rinsing, or lathering your hands, okay? So that is the next step. Reaching over, getting a lot of soap. You want to get a lot of soap, okay? A lot of soap. Why? Because as you're lathering your hands, there's a risk for that soap to dissipate, right? To vanish, right? So if you start out with a lot of soap, you won't have to be concerned with reaching over to get more soap while you are washing. Now, while you're washing, while you're rinsing your hands have to remain below the level of your elbow. I'm going to stand up. I got on shorts, guys, okay? So very unprofessional, but I'm sorry. I'm off today, right? So you are going to, here's the level of your elbow. You want your hands to be below that level. So you don't want them, up above, okay? So below the level of your elbows. You see my elbow is here. My hands and fingertips are below, okay? Why is that? I want y'all to tell me, why do you think that is? Take a couple of seconds and write down your answer, okay? Why do you think that is? I'm going to put my watch back on. All right, so hopefully everybody had time to respond or to answer that question. And the reason being, again, that is how you are required by your authorized administrator to perform this particular step. And two, it's an infection control concern, right? Because if you're lathering your hands with your fingertips up, hands above the level of your elbows, where's all that dirty lather going? Yeah, it's running down your arm now, right? Running down your arm. So now you've just contaminated, the lower area of your arm, or the arm beyond your wrist. You're contaminating. The same with rinsing, right? Now, when you're rinsing off the contaminated or dirty lather, right? So if you're rinsing and your hands come up, now that rinse is running down your arms, okay? So that is the why behind this step, right? Keeping your keeping your hands below the level of your elbows with fingertips down, okay? So I already talked about rinsing, okay? Again, when you're rinsing, same thing, maintaining your hands below the level of your elbows with fingertips down. Okay, you already understand the why behind that, right? I told you several reasons. One is because that is, what your authorized administrator requires you, or how they require you to perform this step. And two, it's an infection control concern. Okay, now after you rinse, okay, I see a lot of shaky, right? You're shaking off that excess water. You don't want to do that. If you do, you will get a flag for infection control. Why do you not want to shake your hands after rinsing? Y'all tell me. I'm going to give you a few seconds. Okay? Tell me why. Yes, infection control, okay? If you're shaking your hands, you're flickering that water everywhere. It's going everywhere, right? So after rinsing your hands, you can remove the excess water in one or two ways. You can gently, okay, while you still have your hands below the level of your elbows. I'm just going to raise mine up so y'all can see, right? Just gently wiggle your fingers to remove the excess water, okay? Wiggling is not going to cause water to splatter everywhere, okay? If you wiggle gently, it's just going to drip down, okay? Or you can lightly tap your hands together to remove the excess water. Again, hold on, because I know somebody's going to end up saying, but your hands are above the level of your elbows, right? So let me stand up, okay? Okay, so hands below the level of your elbows. You've already rinsed. Now I'm going to lightly wiggle my fingers to remove the excess water, or you can slightly tap your hands together, or lightly tap your hands together to remove the remaining water that's on your hands, okay? All right, now the next step is for you to dry your hands, okay? So you're going to reach over, grab a paper towel, and begin with your thumbs, okay, and dry each individual finger. Oh, I forgot my ring finger. Each individual finger on each hand first. Then begin to dry the remaining areas of your hand. Now, Prometric does not require you to start with each individual fingers, okay? However, Pearson VUE and Credentia do, okay? So when I train, when I teach, when I do my videos, I just go ahead and, even though Prometric is different from Credentia and Pearson VUE, the way I do it is starting off with the fingertips, right? Why does Credentia and Pearson VUE want you to start off with the fingertips? I'm not certain about Headmaster, okay? Is again because of infection control concerns, okay? And one, that's the way they require you to do it, okay? So if you think about it, common sense, right? Common sense, you're holding your hands down, so most of the water, okay, that you are rinsing off from your hands are going to be on your fingers, right? Because you're holding your hands down, it's going to be on your fingers. So when you grab that paper towel, that's why they're telling you, dry those fingers off first, okay? Dry them off first, so when you go to dry, you won't be flickering water everywhere. You're going to dry each individual finger first on each hand, okay? And then you may dry the remaining areas of your hand. So that is the why behind why Credentia and Pearson VUE require you to perform the drying step in that manner, okay? Again, Prometric, there is no specifics to starting off with each individual finger of each hand. However, if you are an instructor, with Prometric, I would probably just, train the students to do it in that manner. If you don't, is it wrong? No, it's not. But if you are a Pearson VUE or Credentia instructor, and you train your students in a different manner, then they are going to get that step wrong during testing. Okay, so fingertips first. Again, why? Infection control concerns. All right. Now, after you have dried your hands, okay, and you can use however many paper towels you need to use to dry your hands. The only thing is that you don't want to collect those paper towels in your hand, okay? So you use one paper towel, throw it away. Grab another paper towel, you use it, throw it away, okay? A third paper towel, use it, throw it away, okay? Every time you use a paper towel, you need to throw it away and not collect it. Collecting, what I mean by collecting is just drying, keeping it in your hand, pulling another one, drying, keep it in your hand. You're collecting paper towels, okay? So you're actually, you have that dirty paper towel in your hand, and your hands are supposed to be clean now. Your dirty is touching clean. Now you're just recontaminating your hands, okay? So after each paper towel used, you'll throw it away, okay? After each one. All right, now the next step is to turn off the taps, okay? So you're going to take a clean, dry paper towel and turn off the one tap or turn off both taps, okay? And you can use the same paper towel. If the faucet has two taps, you can just use one paper towel to turn off both taps, okay? Why do you use a paper towel to turn off the taps? Go ahead and write down your answer, or say it out loud, or say it to yourself. Why? Correctamundo. If you said that you could recontaminate yourself or recontaminate your hands, you are correct, right? Because the taps of the faucet are dirty. Yes, they are dirty, okay? So you want to make sure, because your hands are clean, you don't want to touch the taps with your clean, bare hands, because if you do, you've just contaminated your hands again, okay? So that's why you use a clean, dry paper towel to turn off the taps, okay? Now, while you are performing this skill, you do not want your hands to touch the insides of the sink. Why? Why is that? Go ahead and write down your answer. Why do you not want your hands to touch the insides of your sink? And the second part of the question is, if your hands accidentally touch the inside of the sink, what should you do? Two-part question, okay? Go ahead and write down your answers. All right. I hope I gave y'all enough time. I'm going to tell you why, okay? The insides of the sink is dirty. If you accidentally touch it with your hands while you're washing or rinsing, you're just contaminating your hands, okay? So you want to make sure that your hands do not touch the insides of the sink. Now, what do you do if your hands do touch the insides of the sink? Easy as pie. Just stop, look at the nurse aid evaluator, and let her or him know that your hands accidentally touched the insides of the sink, and ask them if they would like for you to restart the skill, okay? 9 times out of 10, they're going to tell you no, just continue on, okay? Why? Because they realize, or they know that you realize you made a mistake, right? And 2, you know how to correct that, incorrect action or that mistake. Okay, so a lot of times during hand hygiene, they won't have you to start all the way over at the beginning. They'll just tell you to continue on. Okay, now questions that I get. So now y'all know the why behind how you perform certain actions in a step, right? And the number one reason always is going to be that is what your authorized administrator requires you to do, okay? Two, no, I'm sorry. Let me go back. So other questions that I receive is, why do you keep the water running? You're wasting water. Oh my gosh, you're killing me. You're wasting water. Take it up with the authorized administrators, people. Okay? Take it up with them. This skill is a skill that you want to put aside your conservative thinking or your conservative habits, because if you don't, you will end up failing the skill. Okay, so the water remains running throughout the entire process of washing your hands until the very end, where you have to take a clean paper towel to turn off the taps. Okay, again, infection control. You don't want to wash your, wet your hands, get the soap, turn off the taps and start washing your hands. Then you turn back on the now your hands are dirty, right? Same thing for rinsing, okay? It's all about infection control. Another question that I receive is, or comment, the question is, why didn't you use a paper towel to turn on the water? Or comments, my instructor trained us to use a paper towel to turn on the taps, right? That very first step, right? Where you turn on the water. Well, here's where common sense comes into play, okay? And remember, not trying to be mean, but common sense just ain't that common nowadays, right? Okay? But if you have that question, I'm glad that you're asking. I really am. The reason why authorized administrators do not have that as a required step, and in real life, why it's really not necessary, ask yourself this question: why are you washing your hands? Why do people wash their hands? To get them clean, right? Why do they want to get them clean? Because they're dirty. Okay, they've been touching over patients or touching, objects, touching doorknobs, right? So you wash your hands to get your hands clean because they are dirty. Now, if your hands are dirty and the taps are dirty, is it really going to matter if you take a clean paper towel and place it on those dirty knobs to turn on the water? Not really. It's not. That's just an unnecessary additional step. Okay. Will you get dinged for doing that? No, you won't. But it's not necessary, right? Because your hands are dirty, the taps are dirty, you're touching dirty to dirty. Okay. What you don't want to do is, after washing and rinsing your hands, touch your clean hands or make contact. Have your clean hands making contact with the dirty taps. So that's why at the end of the skill, you have to use a clean paper towel to turn off the taps, because your hands are clean now. Okay, so it is okay to touch dirty to dirty. It is okay to touch clean to clean. But what is not okay is touching clean to dirty or dirty to clean. All right. So at the very beginning of the skill, your hands are assumed or considered to be dirty or contaminated. The knobs are dirty and contaminated. So if you touch your bare hands to the knobs at the very beginning when you're turning on the water, you are okay because you're touching dirty with dirty. Okay. Now, after washing, after rinsing, no. You get that paper towel, right, and turn off those the sink with the dirty taps. Okay, use a paper towel to turn the dirty taps on. So that is why when I'm doing the training videos, and I don't even train when I was instructing. I never trained my students to use paper towels to turn on the faucet. Okay, only when turning off, because it is a required step and it is an infection control concern. Now, if you excuse me, are an instructor and you are training your students to do that, that's on you. That's okay. Your students are not going to get dinged for it. Okay, but keep in mind, it is an unnecessary additional step. So how many seconds does it take you to get a paper towel, turn off the taps, or turn on the taps at the very beginning of the skill and throw it away? Probably anywhere from 3 to 5 seconds. That's 3 to 5 seconds that your student or you as a candidate could be spending on a different, more complex skill. And I know you're probably saying, oh, 3 or 5 seconds, that's not much, but those seconds add up and they turn into minutes, especially if you're performing unnecessary additional steps and other skills. Okay, that time adds up and it takes away from the total allotted time that you have to perform your skills exam. All right, so just keep that in mind. All right, guys, so I hope you enjoyed this video. The next video, understanding the why, I'm not sure which skill I'm going to do, but yeah, that is it. I'm also going to, probably tonight, I'll do a live on the same topic, so you know, people will have the opportunity to ask me questions while I'm here virtually, right? Okay, so hopefully this was helpful. Again, this new video series that I'm going to be doing will be helpful for both the student, the testing candidate, and instructors, right? Because you can use this as an additional supplementary resource for your students. Okay, and the questions that I asked, right? You can have that as like a homework assignment. Watch the videos. Whatever questions she asked, I think I probably asked about 5 why questions, right? Why are you doing this like this? Have them to answer those questions, right? So good in all ways, good for everybody, will benefit, you know, the instructor, you, the student, you, the candidate. Okay, I hope you enjoyed. Please give me a thumbs up, give me a like for this video if it was helpful and educational and informative to you all. Again, it's going to be a collective video series of understanding the why. Okay, don't forget about my book, Smash That CNA Exam, still available for purchase on Amazon. If you're an instructor, you're getting your students prepared for a clinical, I do have another book. I think it's CNA Scenarios. So I forgot the title of my own book, I'm sorry, but it is also available on Amazon. It has 11 clinical scenarios in there that you can have your students role play before they actually get to their clinical teaching site. Will be very helpful. Or you can even do it as a group assignment, right? Have your students read off the scenario and have them talk it out. Which, you know, nursing tasks should we do first? You know, which should we do last? You know, how are we going to approach the resident in performing these nursing tasks? What supplies will we need for these nursing tasks? So this book is really good because you can, you know, find different ways to implement these, you know, clinical scenarios into your training. Yes. Okay. So guys, I'm going to get ready to go. It's been almost 30 minutes. And again, I'll probably go live this evening sometime if I have time. It'll be after 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. So speaking on the same topic, so it will give people the opportunity to actually ask questions, make comments in real time with me. Okay, thank y'all so much. I love y'all. Ciao.